Hi, I'm Charlotte, 42 years old, the owner of a luxury resort in Savannah, Georgia, a place where even the cobblestones reflect the precision behind every decision I've made over the past 10 years. People often say, I'm the kind of woman who misses no detail, and maybe they're right, because I built all of this from nothing. No capital, no support, no one believing I could. And yet now, when people mention Sapphire Ridge Resort, they think of me as a symbol of grace and resilience. But there's one place where I always feel small. Invisible, the house in Richmond, where my mother and sister live. The place I once believed was family, I hadn't returned there in nearly half a year. Not because I was too busy, but because I knew exactly what would be waiting behind that white-painted door. November in Richmond carries the scent of dry leaves and soft wind. But as I stepped onto the porch, all I could smell was the familiar weight of unspoken expectations and the tightening in my chest. My mother opened the door, her smile arriving right on cue, but her eyes, they remained the same void of warmth. Charlotte still wearing all dark colors. You know. There are tones that make you look more alive, she said, kissing the air near my cheek. Her hand smoothing the shoulder of my blouse, like I was a rough draft in need of fixing. I gave a polite smile. Hi, Mom. My father was already at the dinner table, eyes glued to his plate of roast beef, like it was solving world hunger. Not a word, not a glance. And then there was Sophia, my younger sister. She was stretched out on the sofa, her loose curls spilling over silk pillows, wearing a shimmering jay-green dress that clung to her narrow frame. One hand held a green smoothie, the other a phone. Mid-selfie with flash bouncing off her cheek. Oh, you finally made it. I thought you were off the grid for another few months. Doing forest meditation, Sophia said, as if commenting on the weather. Not welcoming her own sister. I sat across from her, took a deep breath to steady myself. The table was set with our mother's best china, usually reserved for holidays, or what she called constructive conversations. I should have caught the hint. Dinner began with suffocating. Stillness Mom complimented the weather. Dad mumbled something about gas prices, and Sophia live-streamed part of the meal, carefully angling her camera to avoid showing me. I should have walked out then, but I stayed. I thought maybe this time would be different. Maybe they actually wanted me there, because they missed me. Sophia sat down her glass and stood up, raising her wine like a press conference mic. My 35th birthday is next week, she declared, her eyes sweeping the room like a spotlight. And I've decided to throw a film festival themed Bash Think Hollywood, with a touch of Paris glamour. I paused mid-bite, waiting for the inevitable, and then it came. Estimated cost is around 90 grand. But don't worry, she beamed. You've got it covered. I mean, it's not like you ever spend money on anything. Fun, anyway. Silence. My mother tilted her head, her smile drawn on like pencil. Sophia has really planned everything you've been given. So much. Charlotte, sometimes giving back is just a way to show gratitude. I looked at my father. He kept eating, not a word. That was the moment I realized I wasn't family. I was an emotional, financial, and tolerance-based bank. I set my fork down. My chest turned to stone, and I knew this wasn't the end. This was just the overture to a performance they assumed I'd still quietly play along with. I drove back to my apartment in silence, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. My mother's voice echoed in my head. You've been given so much. Charlotte, sometimes giving back is just a way to show gratitude. Gratitude. I had spent my entire youth building a career, an empire of hospitality from scratch. I'd survived. Financial collapse as sleepless nights over blueprints and spreadsheets. Mornings of back-to-back meetings and nights of relentless pressure And now their version of gratitude was a demand to fund a party I hadn't even been allowed to refuse. I parked outside my red QRI building, stepped into the elevator, and leaned against the frosted glass wall. Not one message from my mother. Not one call from my father. After that dinner and Sophia. She didn't even glance back when I left the table. The next morning, I arrived early at the office. Savannah was still half asleep, but I was already in my cream blazer hairpinned, back clutching a black coffee. Lily, my operations director, was already there holding a folder and looking at me with quiet concern. "Everything okay?" Lily asked gently, her sharp eyes never missing a shift in my expression. I gave a small smile, setting my bag down. "Family." Ina nodded, asking nothing. Nothing further. She understood better than anyone. We were reviewing the event calendar for the upcoming month when my phone buzzed. I froze at the caller ID. Sophia, I hesitated, then answered. "Are you busy?" Her voice had that lazy, spoiled tone, like she had just rolled out of bed. "I'm in a meeting." "What is it? I need you to approve my birthday budget," she said lightly, like she was ordering extra candles for her bedroom watch. The birthday party in Nantucket. Remember? I sent you the full breakdown in an email. Everything's already planned. You just have to sign off. I opened the email there. It was event plan. Sophia's 35th with a 3-page itemized budget. A 2-day party, private beach cocktails, DJ flown in from New York. Fireworks limousine service from the airport, the total nearly 95,000. I read each line slowly, trying to grasp why she thought this was normal. And then the last line hit me like ice water sponsorship. Charlotte Harrison, confirmed by parents. My grip on the phone tightened, the cold from my hand crawling up my arm. "I never agreed to fund any part of this," I said, voice steady and low. "No need to be so uptight," Cindy said with a hint of a smirk. "You're not married, no kids, no one to worry about but yourself." Mum said, "It's time you shared a little." I didn't respond. Her words fell like tiny shards of glass, cold and cutting. "You get it right," she added sweetly. "You're the responsible one. You're the chosen one." I hung up without another word. Less than an hour later, I got an email from my mother. Subject, object, family, love. The body was a long paragraph sprinkled with thank yous for my constant sacrifices, compliments on my success, and ended with a message that sealed it all. "You're the pride of this family and Sophia. She just wants one special day in her life. Don't make it harder for her, Charlotte." I stared at the screen, feeling as heavy as stone. No one had asked if I wanted to be involved. No one thought I had the right to say no. They didn't wait for my answer. They had already assumed I'd say yes. They didn't need me to show up, just my signature and my bank account. That evening, I sat alone in my marble-tiled kitchen, warm golden light, casting a soft glow over my glass of red wine. I opened an old photo on my phone. Me, my parents and Sophia, the year. I opened Sapphire Ridge Resort. They were all beaming, so was I, but now I saw it clearly. I was the only one not leaning on anyone. I used to think success would make them see me differently. But no, to them, I was always the fixer, the fallback when bills piled up and dreams needed funding. This time, I wasn't sure they were ready for the answer. No, I was at the office, eyes skimming through emails like they might lift the pressure squeezing at my temples, when Lily walked in, holding her phone face, tense. "You need to see this," she said, handing it to me. I took it and looked at the screen. A video posted a few hours ago on Catherine's SnapTrend account, filmed from inside a car as she drove past my house in Savannah, the old one. 1930s home with faded roof tiles, a flower-covered balcony and white painted walls worn with time. Sophia's voice rang out sweet and laced with sarcasm. "This is my sister, Charlotte." Harrison's secret hideaway, the resort queen herself. Who would have thought Wright living in a house straight out of a detective novel? She giggled, maybe she's going for the mysterious recluse look, or is this part of a disguise show? Laughter came from the back. Clearly her new boyfriend. Someone I hadn't met. Below the video were hundreds of comments. Wait, she's a billionaire and lives like that. That house looks depressing, classic, but doesn't know how to enjoy it. Maybe she's saving money for that. 90K birthday bash. I couldn't tell what upset me more. The mocking tone in Sophia's voice, the snide laughter from strangers, or the feeling of being dragged into a spotlight I never consented to. I set the phone down and sat silently for a few seconds. "You okay?" Lily asked, her voice low. I nodded, though fury simmered just beneath my skin. Not because of the criticism. Not because my home was filmed. But because my own flesh and blood was the one who handed me over for ridicule. Sophia hadn't just crossed a line, she'd torn it down completely. I sat there for a long time afterward, watching sunlight dance through the blinds, scattering golden shapes across the wooden floor. I had chosen that old house because it gave me peace, because I didn't need a castle to feel full. But now that simplicity had been turned into public. Amusement. I opened Catherine's Snap Trend. Again, she was still posting stories. Footage from her dress fitting. Studio Zoom calls with her set designer snapshots of a 3-tier gold-trimmed cake sample. Everything seemed finalized and of course still assumed to be funded by me. Not a single message, asking what I thought, how I felt. Just silence and expectation. That night I didn't go home. I drove to Sapphire Ridge Resort, walked slowly through the white marble lobby where the chandelier glowed softly like afternoon sun. I sat in the second-floor conference room, opened my laptop, and created a new folder. Sophia Personal. I started collecting every story, every screenshot, every notable comment, organized into separate subfolders. I wasn't doing it out of anger, I was doing it because... For the first time in years, I saw it clearly. I had let them define my worth for far too long. And I wouldn't let it continue another day, the next morning. As I entered my office, Lily was already waiting, holding a cream-colored envelope stamped by a major Los Angeles event firm. "This came in for you, this morning. Sender, Catherine Harrison, via her manager." I opened it. Inside was a venue deposit contract for the birthday party. My name was listed under Financially Responsi Party. No signature from me, but a neatly typed line, verbal confirmation from Charlotte. I looked at Lily. "She thinks I won't check. She thinks you keep tolerating it." Lily replied like always. I didn't answer. I just nodded, then picked up my phone and typed a message. "I am not sponsoring any of your events. Take the video down immediately or risk a complaint for unauthorized filming, and do not send any more contracts under my name. Your sister no longer cleans up your messes." I hit send, then powered off the phone. 3 days after I sent that message to Sophia. No one responded, no apology, no explanation. I figured they finally realized I meant it. This time, then, on Wednesday morning, just as I arrived at the office, the receptionist informed me my mother was waiting in the lobby. No appointment. She had never been here before, not once in the 10 years I'd built Sapphire Ridge Resort. I stood inside the conference room, looking through the glass. My mother sat stiffly in a high-backed leather chair. Hands folded neatly over her beige designer purse. She looked like she was waiting for a lawyer, not her daughter. I signaled Lily to open the door. "Charlotte," my mother smiled, but it wasn't a warm motherly smile. It was rehearsed just warm enough to pass without masking the urgency behind her eyes. "You're surprised," I said, polite but cool. Yes, I know, she replied, standing. I thought it was time we spoke directly, instead of letting misunderstandings fester. I invited her into my office. Lily shut the door, and the air inside thickened with something hard to name. Not quite tension, not quite peace. My mother placed her purse down, then pulled out a folder in a leather sleeve. I recognized the type, not handwritten or printed at home. This was a professionally bound contract-style document. I think you should take a look at this, she said. Voice steady. I opened the folder in front of me. Was the detailed budget. Sine Harrison's 35th birthday celebration. Every item was clear, lighting, audio. Celebrity guests, transportation, red carpet, and at the bottom, highlighted in blinding yellow, primary sponsor, Charlotte Harrison confirmed via third party. I looked up what third party I've been coordinating with the event. Team, she replied, as if it were the most natural thing in the world, and, there's another document I need you to sign. She took out another envelope this time from Blackstone and Green Law, a law firm I knew represented the Landon family. Catherine's boyfriend's side. I flipped through the pages, and in the financial clause, one line chilled me. In the event the primary party, Catherine Harrison, fails to complete, payment financial responsibility will be automatically transferred to the designated sponsor Charlotte Harrison, including all event costs, contract penalties, and applicable legal fees. I haven't signed anything. I said vowed low, but firm. But I confirmed it, she said casually. Like was talking about reserving a lunch table. You're the only one who can afford it. And you know. Sophia, she's still finding her footing. I stood, gently pushing my chair back. You want me to be legally responsible for an event I wasn't even invited to plan. Charlotte! Don't be dramatic, she softened her tone. You've always been the reliable one. Everyone trusts you. I trust you. No, you don't trust me. Me, you trust my ability to pay. She paused, then sigh. You don't need to act like this is a betrayal. We're family, we help each other. I closed the folder and placed it neatly in front of her. Helping doesn't mean being manipulated. She stared at me. Something in her eyes shifted, no longer soft, but laced with frustration and disappointment. You've changed, she said. You've become cold. I smiled faintly. Not cold, Mum, just clear-headed. She didn't say another word, just stood up, straightened her coat. I hope you'll reconsider. Sophia's really looking forward to it. I didn't walk her out. Lily was already waiting in the hallway when the door closed. I sat down, hands resting on the desk, still warm from my untouched tea. I used to believe that if I were kind enough, worked hard enough, my family would truly see me. But they didn't. To them. I was still the fixer. I glanced at the contract again, then filed it into a plastic folder labeled Evidence, Financial Coercion. I wouldn't sign. Not this time, not ever again. 2 days after the meeting with my mother on a misty afternoon, I was reviewing the end of event calendar when Lily walked in, visibly irritated. You need to see this morning's camera footage, she said, voice lower than usual. South Ballroom. I looked up, her eyes warning me, without delay. I opened the security system, selected the designated area. The screen came to life. Footage from early morning. A group entering the main lobby, led by Sophia, her wavy blonde hair fluttering in the AC breeze, a bright red dress hugging her figure. High heels tapping on the white marble floor behind her were 3 people, an event assistant, a cameraman, and a stylist. No appointment on record, no calls, no emails, no permission. I watched silently as Sophia pointed toward a set of banquet chairs being arranged for an afternoon corporate seminar. This looks dull, she announced loudly. I requested natural lighting, and this feels like a bank conference room. Carlos. Our new decor manager politely explained that the space had been reserved. He hadn't finished his sentence when Sophia waved him off. It doesn't matter. This is my sister's hotel. I'm sure we can be flexible, right? I focused on Carlos's face, caught between unreasonable demands and his sense of duty. Catherine walked over to the dessert samples for tomorrow's wedding showcase artisan cakes from a renowned pastry chef. Without asking, she pinched off. A piece tasted it, then grimaced. Too sweet. Who approved this? The footage continued. She circled the ballroom, waved for mock-ups to be removed, demanded alternate music options, even called for a complete change of table. Linens, none of which had been scheduled or booked. Switching to a side camera, I saw her filming a TikTok captioned, "Scouting the perfect venue for my birthday bash at my sister's super fancy hotel." She twirled, smiled at the camera and whispered, "We're going to remodel everything. Don't worry." I shut the laptop and looked at Lily. She thinks I won't find out. Lily said no. Catherine knows I will. She just didn't think I'd do anything. I walked to the file cabinet and pulled out a folder. I'd started the week prior when things began to cross the line. Label, unauthorized behavior, internal. I opened my laptop, uploaded the footage to a subfolder titled Evidence, Every Minute, Every Word, Every Expression, Clear and Undisputable. I want you to contact legal, I told Lily. Have them review all usage regulations and flag any commercial filming done without written consent. Lily nodded, jotting it down swiftly. And one more thing, I continued, voice steady. Have security tighten, ballroom access from now on. No one enters without a scheduled appointment. Family included. Lily pressed her lips together. Do you want me to send a warning to Sophia? I shook my head. No, let her think everything's still under control. I don't need a warning. I need action that evening. I didn't. Go home early, like I usually did. I stayed late in the office, eyes fixed on the event calendar, glowing on the screen during Sophia's birthday week. The ballroom had already been booked by a company for a young leader conference. I smiled. Sophia thought she was playing on my turf, but forgot. I didn't just have the keys. I laid every brick, and from this moment forward, everything she touched would leave a trace. A trace. I would use as evidence that morning, Savannah was drenched in sunlight. Light reflected off the small lake at the entrance of Sapphire Ridge Resort, where the ancient oaks whispered something old in the breeze. I stood before the mirror in my upstairs office. Fingers adjusting the navy blazer buttons, not glamorous, not overdone. Just me, sharp, composed, no performance necessary. Lily walked in without knocking, our eyes meeting in the reflection. Their car just arrived, she said. Everything ready? I asked. Lily nodded every detail. I exhaled softly. Good, then let the show begin downstairs in the grand lobby. Sophia walked in like she was the star of a primetime drama. Black sequin dress, hugging every curve. Oversized sunglasses covering half her face. Footsteps confident, as if the whole place had been designed solely for her. Entrance trailing behind was Oliver, her fiancé. Tall, polished eyes scanning the space with the calm precision of someone in finance with them. Were his parents, Mrs. Judith and Mr. Jonathan Calloway. People who had learned to read rooms with inherited ease. Catherine led the group down the main hallway, chattering non-stop. This room will be the main reception. I've requested all new LED lighting. Oh, and the staircase, thinking white orchids cascading all the way down. My sister really likes that stuff. She's got kind of a vintage thing. She laughed. No one else did. And who owns this place? Judith asked, her voice soft, but carrying weight. Catherine faltered for half a beat. My sister. But I really help manage a lot. I oversee the big events. I picked that exact moment to descend the stairs. Each step echoed on the marble, deliberate and sharp. No introduction needed. The room paused as I appeared. "Welcome to Sapphire Ridge Resort," I said, locking eyes with Catherine's stunned expression. "I'm Charlotte Harrison, owner and executive director of this estate." Oliver blinked like he hadn't heard me correctly. Judith nodded slowly, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "A pleasure. Miss Harrison, you've made quite an impression." Catherine froze, uncertain how to react for the first time in her life. She had no words. "You didn't tell me you'd be here today," she said quietly, voice dry. "I don't need permission to show up where I belong," I replied, eyes still on her. Future mother-in-law. The energy in the room shifted. Frederick took a step back, scanning the lobby, as if recalibrating everything he thought he knew. "You built this yourself?" he asked, voice low and direct. "Brick by brick." I said, "It started as an abandoned building. I spent 3 years restoring it, got through 2 hurricanes and countless sleepless nights. Now, Elling Manor is one of the premier event destinations in the southeast." Oliver turned to Sophia, brows furrowing. "I thought you said you ran the place," Sophia stammered. I just meant I help out. She's busy, so I handle small things." I didn't answer. I turned to Lily, who had approached from behind. "Lily, would you please escort the Callaways to the West Garden for afternoon tea?" "I'll join shortly." "Of course," Lily said, with a pleasant smile, gesturing for them to follow. Catherine lingered, face flushed with confusion. "What are you doing?" she whispered. Frantic. I stepped closer, leaned down and whispered back. "Sophia, I don't need to bring you down. You're doing a brilliant job, all by yourself." She stood, frozen. As I walked away, outside the sunlight danced across the stone path leading to the garden glasses, clinked softly amid birdsong in the afternoon air. Judith sat with perfect posture, lifting her teacup, her thoughtful gaze fixed on me. "My daughter could learn a lot from you," she said. "Not for your wealth, but for how the world quiets when you enter a room." I smiled completely, steady, not proud. Just finally ready for this moment. I'd waited long enough for 3 days after the party. Sapphire Ridge Resort returned to its usual. Rhythm fresh flowers adorned the grand lobby table. Linens were folded perfectly, and the crystal chandelier still cast its soft glow as if it hadn't just witnessed a silent upheaval. I was in my office, a cup of warm chamomile tea beside me when Lily walked in. "I just got an email from the Callaway group," she said calmly. "They thanked us for their experience at Allington and requested to reserve the West Garden for their next quarters. Private event. This time they asked to work directly with you." I wasn't surprised, nor was I thrilled. Everything was arriving exactly when it was meant to. Sophia, on the other hand, was different. That evening, she posted a video on social media, no background music, no filter, just a still frame, dim lighting, and a face with barely their makeup. She stared into the lens for a long moment before speaking. "I know a lot of people are waiting to hear what I have to say after everything, but honestly, I don't have much to say. Except," she paused, her eyes red. "I was wrong. Wrong for thinking I could lean on image without ever building anything real, and even more wrong for not respecting the one person who always held things together behind the scenes." I didn't watch the whole thing, not because I was angry, but because I didn't need more words. I'd heard enough over the past 30 years. I turned off my phone, placed it face down on the desk, and looked out the window where the golden light of evening soaked the treetops in the yard. A week later, I received a single text from my mother. No exclamation mark, No emojis. Can you come for dinner this Sunday? I'm making your favorite roast. I read the message, paused for a few seconds, then put the phone down. No reply, no anger, no hesitation. I didn't need a dinner to prove I was loved. I used to believe that if I worked hard enough, sacrificed long enough, my family would truly see me. That they would choose me not for my usefulness, but because I deserved love. But then I realized some doors never open, no matter how many times you knock, not because you're not good enough, but because they were never meant for you. That night, I didn't go to my parents' house. I poured myself a glass of red wine, opened the balcony doors, and let the night breeze drift through. My little home glowing in golden light, I put on an instrumental jazz track, sat on the floor, leaned against the wall, and propped my feet on a chair. No one asked where I was. No one called. No one complained. There was only stillness. And for the first time, that stillness didn't feel lonely. It felt free. I used to think peace came when someone changed, when they admitted fault, when they apologized. But no real peace comes when you stop reshaping yourself to fit those who never cared to see you. Clearly, I didn't win through rage. I didn't scream. I didn't punish. I just walked away. Not because I stopped caring, but because I started caring more about myself. I didn't need them to see me. I just needed to see myself, clearly and completely. I'm Charlotte Harrison. I'm not a walking wallet. I'm not someone's shadow. I'm the woman who built her own dream. And I don't owe anyone an apology for that. On my desk now is a new file, a proposal to expand the resort to the southern coast. Lily says it's still an untouched area, but full of potential. I nodded. We'll head out there next week. It took me many years to learn. You can't choose where you're born, but you can choose where you belong. I choose a place where laughter is real. Silence isn't weaponized. And my whole self exists, and for me, that's enough. From my own story. I've learned one simple truth, earned through a long journey. You don't have to keep sacrificing to prove your worth to people who never truly saw you. Peace doesn't come from others. Approval, it comes the moment you stop pleasing them and start living for yourself. Family isn't the place that makes you feel small. It's the place where you're allowed to be yourself. And if that place is not you have every right to build it on your own. Now, tell me, what do you think of Charlotte's story? Have you ever been in a similar situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to follow this channel for more honest emotional stories about family and life.